The sun hung low over the twin mountains of Aurelia's planet, casting golden light across the palace gardens. Exotic flowers glowed with soft colors, and the air smelled of sweet nectar. Princess Aurelia walked slowly along the winding paths, her mind full of questions. She had always been curious about humans. Their stories were strange, and some were even unbelievable, told by travelers and scholars who had only seen them through censors or reports. Aurelia was not like other princesses. She did not spend all her time in strict lessons or formal ceremonies. She wanted to see the universe with her own eyes. Today, she would meet one of those humans in person. The human. Captain Marcus had arrived as part of a diplomatic mission from Earth. He was tall, with calm brown eyes and a gentle smile. Unlike the stiff diplomats Aurelia was used to, he carried himself with quiet confidence. His movements were precise, yet natural. He was very different from her advisors or other alien visitors, who often seemed rigid and formal. Aurelia waited by the fountain, her silvery robes catching the sunlight. Marcus approached carefully, bowing slightly as he reached her. "Princess Aurelia," he said, his voice steady. "It is an honor to meet you. The honor is mine." Captain Marcus Aurelia replied with a polite smile. "I have heard many things about humans. I am curious to learn more." Marcus nodded. "I will answer your questions as best I can, Your Highness. But please understand that humans are complicated. Not everything can be explained easily." Aurelia's violet eyes sparkled. "I understand. I like complexity." For a moment they walked in silence along the garden path. Birds with colorful feathers sang from the treetops, and a small fountain burbled nearby. Aurelia finally spoke. "I have read about human mating," she said quietly. Her voice carried a mixture of shyness and curiosity. "I wonder how often it happens. Do humans mate often?" Marcus blinked. The question was blunt, almost shocking. In his experience, most adults, human or alien, would never ask such a thing so directly, especially a princess. But he caught himself quickly, smiled politely, and spoke carefully. "Your Highness," he said, choosing his words, "humans do not have a fixed schedule. Some humans mate more often than others, and it often depends on many things: motions, trust, and personal choice. It is not only physical, but also emotional. Humans form bonds with people they care about, and mating is part of that bond." Aurelia tilted her head, intrigued. "So, it is not simply biology?" "No," Marcus replied. "It is biology, yes, but it is also about connection. Love, friendship, trust, respect. Humans care about each other in many ways. Sometimes the bond comes first, sometimes the physical attraction comes first. It depends on the individuals." Aurelia's cheeks flushed slightly. She had expected aliens to be shy or indirect about such topics. She had not expected a human to answer honestly and calmly. She studied Marcus for a long moment, realizing that humans could be very different from her assumptions. "Interesting," she whispered. "Very interesting." Marcus noticed her fascination and smiled softly. "It is natural to be curious, Your Highness. Humans are very different from most other species. Some find that strange or even confusing." "I do not find it strange," Aurelia said firmly. "I find it enlightening." They stopped by a small pool, watching as the sunlight danced across the water. Aurelia leaned on the railing and asked more questions, careful but eager. She asked about human families, how humans cared for their children, how friendships worked, and how humans showed respect to each other. Marcus answered every question with patience. Using examples from Earth, he told her about simple family meals, games that built trust, and rituals that celebrated achievements. The princess listened, captivated. She asked questions no one had ever asked before, questions about feelings, about emotions, and about human decisions. Marcus realized that she was not only curious, but also thoughtful. She wanted to understand humans, not just hear stories. Hours passed as they walked and talked. The sun dipped behind the mountains, casting long shadows across the gardens. Aurelia finally spoke again. "You are very human," she said, almost as if testing the words. Marcus laughed softly. "I suppose I am. But I try to be a good human." And sometimes, humans are more capable than others believe. Aurelia's lips curved into a small smile. I think humans are capable of many things, perhaps more than we imagined. Marcus felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had traveled across the galaxy, met many species, and faced dangers that most humans would never experience. Yet this moment, this calm and curious conversation with a princess, felt different, important. I would like to show you more, Marcus said, gesturing to the palace in the distance. There are many things about humans that sensors cannot show, many ways we live that reports cannot capture. Aurelia's eyes widened with excitement. You would do that? Yes, Marcus replied. I would be honored to show you, Your Highness. Only if you wish, of course. I wish, she said simply as they walked toward the palace. Marcus explained simple aspects of human life that could be experienced anywhere at work. Small challenges, simple games that built trust. Even human ways of sharing joy or comfort. Aurelia tried to imagine herself participating, and in her mind, humans became less mysterious, less alien. She felt a strange connection forming, a curiosity that went beyond knowledge and toward understanding. Later, in a quiet courtyard, they sat on a bench. Aurelia leaned forward, her eyes reflecting the glow of the evening lights. Captain Marcus, she said softly, do humans always need such bonds? Marcus thought for a moment. Humans are happiest when they have bonds. Bonds make life meaningful. They give purpose. Humans are not perfect, but connection makes them stronger. Aurelia nodded slowly. I see. Then perhaps humans are stronger than we expected. The princess paused and then asked almost shyly, and do humans always choose their bonds carefully? Yes, Marcus replied. Most humans try too. Sometimes they fail, but they try. They learn from mistakes. That is how humans grow, through experience, through choices, and through connection. Aurelia was quiet for a long time, staring at the stars beginning to appear above. Marcus wondered what she was thinking. He had seen curiosity in many beings, but hers felt deeper, more thoughtful. She was trying to understand humans, not just the facts, but the essence of who they were. Finally, she spoke. I did not expect humans to be so careful, so thoughtful as they are, Marcus said simply. And they are also brave. They take risks for each other, for their families, for their friends. Humans are complicated, but in good ways. Aurelia smiled faintly, a soft light in her violet eyes. I think I like humans, she whispered. Marcus chuckled quietly. I think you would, princess. If you meet enough, you would see many strengths. The palace bells rang softly in the distance, signaling evening. Aurelia realized it was time to return to her chambers. She stood, brushing her robes, but her eyes lingered on Marcus. Thank you, Captain Marcus, she said sincerely, for answering my questions and for your patience. You are welcome, Princess Aurelia, he replied. It is a pleasure to speak with someone so curious and intelligent. As she turned to leave, Aurelia looked back once more. She felt a strange excitement, the thrill of learning something new, and a quiet admiration for humans that no book or report could ever teach her. Marcus watched her go. Thinking that this meeting was only the beginning, he sensed that Aurelia's curiosity could grow into something far more important, not just for understanding humans, but for bridging the gap between their worlds. In the quiet of the palace gardens, the stars twinkled overhead. A princess had asked a simple question about human mating, and the answer had done more than explain biology. It had opened a door to curiosity, friendship, perhaps a connection that would change both their worlds. The first day ended, but both Marcus and Aurelia knew that their journey had only just begun, and neither of them could have predicted how much that simple, honest question would shape what came next. The next morning, the palace was alive, with light and sound. Birds sang from the treetops, and soft breezes moved through the golden banners that lined the courtyards. Princess Aurelia woke early, her mind still buzzing from yesterday's conversation with Captain Marcus. Humans were far more interesting than she had imagined. Their choices, their emotions, and their bonds fascinated her. She could not stop thinking about them. Alia dressed quickly, her silver robes glimmering as she walked to the gardens. Today she wanted to learn more. She wanted to see humans in action, to understand not just their words, but their ways. Marcus was already waiting at the fountain, his calm presence a familiar comfort. When he saw her approach, he smiled. "Good morning, princess," he said. "I hope you slept well." "I did," Auralia replied, returning the smile. "I have been thinking. I want to learn more about humans, not just from stories, but from experience. Can you show me?" Marcus considered her request carefully. Humans had customs and habits that could be misinterpreted, especially by an alien observer. But he saw the genuine curiosity in Aurelia's eyes and decided to guide her gently. "Of course," he said. "I can show you simple human ways, how we interact, how we connect with each other. All in a safe, controlled environment." Aurelia's eyes lit up. "I am ready." They began in a quiet courtyard designed for training and practice. Marcus explained that humans often learn through doing, through trial and error, and through teamwork. Today, he would show her exercises that humans use to build trust, cooperation, and understanding. First, Marcus said humans often work together in small groups. They face challenges, solve problems, and learn to rely on each other. It helps them grow stronger, not just physically, but in their relationships. Auralia watched carefully as he led her through a simple exercise. They had to move small, weighted blocks from one place to another, using only ropes and careful coordination. At first, Auralia struggled to understand the rope's tension and timing. But Marcus guided her patiently. Slowly, he said, "You must communicate. Humans speak with words, but also with gestures and expressions. Understanding each other is as important as strength." Auralia nodded, concentrating. She noticed that humans valued patience and observation, not just action. Every small mistake was a chance to learn. Every success a moment to celebrate. After several rounds, Auralia began to move smoothly with Marcus, anticipating his actions, adjusting her own. She felt a quiet pride in their coordination. "You are learning quickly," Marcus said. "Humans are often proud when they improve together." Auralia smiled faintly. "I see. Humans value effort, not just results." "Yes," Marcus replied. "It is the journey, not only the outcome, that matters." After the exercise, Marcus suggested a different lesson games that humans use to build trust. One was simple. Blindfolded, one person had to follow instructions to reach a target, relying only on guidance. Auralia agreed, intrigued. Marcus led first. Aurelia's voice directed him gently. She was precise, but patient, learning to trust his movements without seeing them. When he reached the target, she clapped softly. "Excellent," she said. "I felt connected, even though I could not see you." Galactic smiled. "Humans call this trust. It is a small step, but important." Then Auralia led. Marcus guided her words, corrected her directions, and offered encouragement. She learned to trust his voice completely, following carefully, step by step. When she reached the target, she laughed, a sound of pure delight. "I did it," she exclaimed. "I trusted you," as Marcus said gently. "And you succeeded because of trust, not strength alone." Humans often learn the same way in life. They need guidance, but they also need to choose to trust. The princess thought deeply. Trust, emotion, choice. These were all parts of human life she had never fully understood. She began to see humans as more than beings with strange biology. They were thoughtful, careful, capable of complex feelings and actions. After the games, Marcus suggested a break. They sat under a large tree, its leaves shimmering silver in the sunlight. Marcus brought out a simple device that projected images of human life on Earth. He showed Auralia families sharing meals, friends working together, celebrations of achievements. In quiet moments of reflection, humans find joy in many ways, Marcus explained. Some moments are loud and public, others are quiet and personal. Both are important. Auralia watched, fascinated. Even the small moments, they seem important to humans. "Yes," Marcus replied. "They are. Humans understand that happiness is not only in great events, but in small connections. The princess leaned back, thinking, so, humans bond in ways that are not only physical. Friendship, trust, care. These are as important as any other bond, Marcus nodded. Exactly. Humans grow stronger through these bonds, and they often make decisions based on them. Aurelia's eyes sparkled. I see. It is. More complex than I imagined. As the sun climbed higher, Marcus decided it was time to show another aspect of human life: communication and honesty. Humans valued clarity, openness, and respect. Marcus explained simple social exercises where people expressed their thoughts, feelings, and intentions honestly. Orla tried them carefully, sharing small thoughts and observations about the exercises. Learning to express herself clearly and respectfully, the princess noticed that humans did not fear mistakes or embarrassment in the same way her advisors often did. Instead, they learned, adapted, and grew from every interaction. Later, while walking back toward the palace, Aurelia asked another question. Captain Marcus, why do humans care so much about connections? Is it only survival, or something more? Marcus considered carefully. It is both, Your Highness. Humans survive as a species because of cooperation and bonds, but they live fully because of connection, empathy, and love. Life is richer when shared. Aurelia paused. She thought about her own life ceremonies, lessons, rules. She realized humans had freedom in small ways that she had rarely experienced. Freedom to choose, to connect, to make mistakes and learn. That is remarkable, she whispered. Humans are strong in ways we do not expect, Marcus smiled. They are, and often underestimated. But when humans face challenges, they find strength in each other, and sometimes in ways even they do not expect. As evening approached, Aurelia invited Marcus to a private terrace overlooking the valley. The sky was painted in oranges and purples, and the air smelled of flowers and evening dew. Captain Marcus, she said softly, yesterday I asked about human mating. I did not expect to learn so much about life, connection, and trust. Humans are more than I imagined? Marcus nodded gently. Life is complicated, Your Highness. But humans have the ability to adapt, to care, and to build bonds that matter. Aurelia's eyes met his, curiosity shining brightly. I want to know more. I want to see humans, learn from them, and understand how they think, how they feel. Marcus felt a quiet pride. He realized that the princess's curiosity was not just about biology or customs, it was about understanding a species that humans themselves sometimes underestimated, and he understood that he had a role, a responsibility, to guide her carefully. Then I will show you, he said, step by step, with care, as much as you wish to learn. The princess smiled faintly, a mix of excitement and awe. I will learn. I want to understand humans completely. Marcus thought about the future. Teaching a princess about humans would not be simple. Questions would come, and not all would have easy answers. But he also felt that this bond built on curiosity, trust, and respect could change how aliens saw humans. Perhaps it could even influence the galaxy itself. As night fell, the palace lights shimmered, and the stars appeared above. Aurelia looked out, thinking about what she had learned and what was yet to come. Humans were more fascinating than she had ever imagined, and she could not wait to discover more, not just from words, but from experience. And so, a new chapter began, one of exploration, understanding, and a slowly growing connection between a princess and a human, based on curiosity, respect, and the quiet power of knowledge. For Aurelia, the galaxy had suddenly become a much larger, more interesting place. And for Marcus, guiding her journey would be unlike anything he had ever experienced. Tomorrow, the lessons would continue. And both of them knew that the path of learning and discovery would reveal more surprises than either could imagine. The next day, Princess Aurelia woke early once more. Her mind was alive with questions and ideas. Each lesson with Captain Marcus had opened new doors of understanding about humans, how they thought, how they lived, and how they formed bonds. She realized that humans were far more complex than anyone had imagined, and she wanted to learn everything she could. Marcus was waiting in the palace gardens, his calm presence as reassuring as ever. He had prepared a new set of lessons, designed to show Aurelia how humans applied their knowledge and emotions in real situations. "Good morning, Princess," he said with a gentle smile. "Are you ready to continue?" "I am," Aurelia replied, her violet eyes shining. "I want to see humans, not just in theory, but in life." Marcus nodded. "Very well. Today, we will explore how humans respond to challenges, make decisions, and care for each other in practical ways." They began in a training courtyard filled with small obstacles, puzzles, and cooperative tasks. Marcus explained that humans often learned through trial and error, but also by observing and understanding one another. The first lesson, Marcus said, is teamwork under pressure. Humans rely on each other, especially when facing difficulties. They share knowledge, adjust to challenges, and support one another. This builds trust and resilience. Aurelia watched closely as Marcus demonstrated a task. They had to move several weighted crates across the courtyard, while navigating obstacles and maintaining balance. Marcus carefully explained each step, highlighting the importance of communication and observation. At first, Aurelia struggled to coordinate with him. The crates were heavier than they appeared, and the timing required for balance and movement was delicate. But Marcus guided her patiently, offering tips and encouragement without taking over. "You must observe me and predict my movements," he explained. Humans learn to read each other's actions. It is not only about strength, it is about attention and understanding. Slowly, Aurelia began to anticipate Marcus's movements, matching her timing to his. She felt a sense of accomplishment with each successful step. "You are improving quickly," Marcus said. "Humans take pride in progress, not only in results." Aurelia smiled. "I see. Humans value learning as much as achievement." After completing the exercise, Marcus introduced another lesson: problem solving with trust. One participant would be blindfolded, while the other gave guidance to reach a target safely. Aurelia insisted on leading first. Marcus followed her directions carefully. At first, he stumbled, but Aurelia corrected him gently, learning how to give precise instructions. When they reached the target, she laughed softly, pleased with her success. "You trust me, even without seeing," Marcus said quietly. "That is human trust in action." Aurelia's cheeks flushed. "It feels different, important." "Yes," Marcus replied. "Humans often build connections through trust. It is the foundation of many relationships, families, and partnerships alike." As the sun rose higher, Marcus decided to show Aurelia another side of human life: emotional intelligence. He explained that humans had the ability to understand others' feelings, to empathize, and to respond thoughtfully. They sat beneath a tree, where Marcus projected simple scenarios of human interactions. Some were joyful: a child helping a friend, a family celebrating together. Others were more challenging: humans facing conflict, making apologies, and learning from mistakes. "Humans are not perfect," Marcus explained, "but they are capable of understanding, forgiveness, and growth. This is what makes them strong." Aurelia watched carefully. She had expected humans to be mostly about physical strength or intelligence. She had not expected such careful emotional thought. "They think about each other," she whispered. "Even in small ways, humans notice feelings and act with care." "Yes," Marcus said. "They do. Connection is more than biology. It is empathy, understanding, and the choice to act thoughtfully." Aurelia reflected on her own life. She had rules, lessons, and duties, but humans had freedom in small ways to choose, to care, and to learn from experience. This freedom gave them strength and resilience. Later, while walking through a quiet terrace, Aurelia spoke softly. "Captain Marcus," she said, "yesterday I asked about human mating. Today I see humans are more than I thought. Their choices, their care, their trust. It is remarkable." Marcus smiled gently. "That is true, Princess. Humans are complicated, but that complexity allows them to grow, adapt, and form bonds that endure. Euralia paused, considering his words. She realized that her fascination with humans went beyond curiosity about biology. She wanted to understand their way of life, their minds, and their hearts. Do humans always think of others when making choices? She asked. Not always, Marcus replied, but they often try. Humans balance their needs with the needs of those they care about. It is not perfect, but it is meaningful. Euralia nodded slowly. I see that as wisdom, not just knowledge. As evening approached, a minor crisis emerged. A small group of alien workers in the palace miscommunicated about a task, leading to confusion and frustration. Marcus saw the situation as an opportunity for Euralia to observe human problem-solving in action. Princess, he said, watch closely. Humans often face misunderstandings, and how they respond shows their character. Euralia watched as Marcus calmly intervened. He listened to both sides, clarified intentions, and suggested practical steps. The confusion was resolved peacefully, and the workers expressed gratitude for his guidance. Euralia was impressed. Humans were not only capable of physical or mental tasks, they were skilled in communication, patience, and leadership. You are very clever, she whispered. Humans solve problems that seem impossible. Marcus smiled. It is not only cleverness, it is observation, patience, and cooperation. Humans learn from each other constantly. After the situation was resolved, Euralia asked one more question with a shy curiosity. Captain Marcus, do humans always understand these things? Or do they sometimes make mistakes? They make mistakes, Marcus admitted. Many mistakes. But they learn, and that learning is what makes them strong. Humans are not perfect, but they grow through experience and connection. Euralia smiled faintly. I understand. Humans are strong in ways we cannot always see. The palace lights shimmered as night fell. Euralia and Marcus walked to a private terrace overlooking the valley. The stars glowed above, and the air smelled of evening flowers. Captain Marcus, she said softly, I never expected humans to be so thoughtful, so careful, and so capable. Yesterday, I asked about mating. Today, I see it as only one part of something much bigger. Yes, Marcus replied gently. Humans are complex, but that complexity allows them to care, adapt, and grow. Euralia looked at him, her curiosity shining. I want to learn everything I can about humans, about their lives, and about their choices. Marcus felt a quiet pride. He realized that this bond built on curiosity, trust, and understanding could influence more than just a princess. Perhaps it could change how aliens saw humans across the galaxy. Then I will teach you, he said, carefully, step by step. You will see humans in their daily lives, their joys, their struggles, and the ways they connect with each other. Euralia's eyes sparkled. I am ready. For the first time, both of them understood that this journey was not just about answering questions or observing behaviors. It was about connection, discovery, and the power of learning from one another as they stood together under the stars. Euralia reflected on her first question, the one about human mating. She realized that the answer was not simple. It was part of a much larger story about life, choice, trust, and connection. And she understood that humans were far more remarkable than she had ever imagined. Marcus watched her thoughtfully. He had traveled across the galaxy, met countless beings, and faced dangers that few humans could imagine. Yet this calm, curious princess fascinated him more than any challenge or battle. He saw in her a mind eager to learn, a heart capable of understanding, the spirit that could bridge worlds. And in that quiet, starry night, they both understood something important. Humans were not only capable of unique bonds, but also of inspiring curiosity, respect, and friendship across the stars. A single question asked with honesty had opened a door that would lead to new understanding, new bonds, and a shared journey between human and alien. For Princess Euralia, the universe had suddenly become a place full of possibilities, And for Captain Marcus, guiding her understanding was a mission unlike any other mission that revealed the quiet power of humanity, the kind that could surprise, inspire, and change the galaxy. And so, under the glow of distant stars, a new chapter began, one of learning, respect, and the extraordinary strength that humans possessed, not just in body or mind, but in heart, choice, and connection.